Hey, what is up, guys? It is John from the Collectors Company once again, bringing you another deck profile. For those of you who don't know, we had our Oceanic Regional first one of the year. I think it was the first one of the year. One of the first OC events for the year, and it was an online regional. And I was able to get second place playing Set 1 Golden Frieza. See if I've got the camera here. Set 1 Golden Frieza. So we're, as we always do in the Collectors Company, we do a deck profile. So just want to give a few shout outs before we get the deck profile. First off, congratulations to my teammate Benny Zhang. He was actually my only loss in the online regional this weekend, taking me out of first place. Taking me out of a first place finish, but that's all good. He got a win. Congrats for him. He did really well, and he'll most likely be doing a deck profile on our channel as well for the deck he used. Also, shout out to TAC Games and the Lookout for running a really amazing event on the weekend. It was really nice. I think a lot of people know in the past I have not really enjoyed online regionals, but this is genuinely one of the first online events I actually enjoyed. Part of the obviously is due to the fact that this is probably for an online event, it's the one I've had the best performance in. But I don't know, something else felt different. You know, I was in a good mood, I guess, and it shows off as I got second. But and also. TAC Games did a really good job, and the Lookout did a fantastic job with their commentary, and also trying to reach out to a few of the players and whatnot. So that was really nice to see. More eyes were looking at OC8. And the last shout out I want to give, so the reason why I played Golden Frieza, I was actually tossing up between playing either Gogeta or Trunks Vegeta for a couple weeks beforehand, and then if those of you don't know, last week was the EU Regional, and Mr. World Champion Philippe, I think that's how you said his name, played Golden Frieza. I saw that deck, and no joke, I looked at the deck on Deck Planet, I was like, this deck is broken. So I just straight up said, alright, I'm playing his deck. I did make some tweaks to it, mainly because I didn't have access to every single card in his deck, mainly being the new Sin Shenron promo. And as well as I think he was missing some crucial cards in his sideboard, which yeah, well, obviously you can just watch his deck profile and see the difference. But also, if you don't want to hear me ramble on for like 20-30 minutes, I don't know how long I'll talk for. There should be a link in the description for my Deck Planet link. But yeah. Anyway, guys, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, guys, sorry for my there's a bit of glare, but yeah. So the leader I played was Set 1 Golden Frieza. Now, those who watch my videos always know I'll always say that X leader is one of my fan favorite leaders. I've actually been called out on that as well, but I'm going to say it once again. This is one of my all-time favorite leaders. I've been playing this deck from playing the Dragon Ball Super card game from the very first set of the game, so I have come and gone playing so many different iterations of this leader specifically, just because of so many different interactions and cards have come out throughout the entire card game's history, and I've really enjoyed playing it, and it's something I always like to come back to. So the reason why this leader is able to actually stand the test of time, because of its active main on its awakened and its unawakened side. So active main for one, you choose one of your Frieza army cards in your battle area and place it in the drop area. You get to draw a card and then also restand one energy on the front side. Very powerful. And the awaken is an awakened draw 2, so you flip over draw 2 cards. And then the back side of the leader, which looks amazing. Shout out to Benny who got me this Judge one for absolutely no reason. So bless, thank you. What was I going to say? So yeah, the leader gets such a big power up from its unawakened side to its awakened side, where the active main now restands 2 energy, and he also has an auto to attack and draw a card. So your leader alone is generating you 2 new cards a turn, which I don't think any leader on the awakened side actually naturally does that. So as long as you see your Golden Frieza, you'll be seeing 2 cards. But obviously the premier feature of this is the fact that you get the restand 2. Yes, it does mean you have to play a Frieza army archetype, but you don't really care. And the other big thing about this leader too, it doesn't have any real way to get to 4 life to awaken to get to this amazing side. So yeah, the first slots of the deck we'll go through now is what's catering towards this. So first stuff we'll go through here. The main engine cards of the deck are these 4 Tugomas / Ginyus and 4 Frieza's Calls. Real quickly, I genuinely don't know how I have a Gen Con 2019 Frieza Call. I actually don't know how I got it, but I have one apparently, and yeah, even though I'm an OC player. But yeah, basically what all these cards do, the 2 Tugomas, the Ginyu and Tugoma, they're both designed for the Flip Frieza deck, but they both have an order that just says on play, draw a card. So in this deck where we want to pop Frieza army cards to restand our energy, paying 1 to draw a card, then popping it to untap 1 and draw another card. It's essentially, these are just like a free pot of greed, essentially, with the leader, which is very nice. And then Frieza calls even better for 2 reasons. The first reason is that it lets us search our entire deck for a Frieza army card to play. These aren't our only targets. We have one more that's coming up in a little bit. And the other thing too is that it also instantly gets us 1 card in the drop, which helps fill both Overwhelm, as also meeting the requirements for Robotic Riposte, which is another very important card of the deck. But yeah, if you're ever playing this leader, you have to play these cards at a minimum. These are like, if you're not playing these 12 cards, there's no point you playing the deck. Next we have 2 of the Self-Awakeners. We have this Frieza, I think it's Malicious Strike. Yep, Frieza Malicious Strike and Master Roshi Martial Master. Roshi is such an amazing card in this deck. All he does is lets you rip your own life insanely fast. For 1 energy, you play Master Roshi and you just take a life. And then if your Roshi survives the following turn, you can active main for 1 energy, take another life, and then search your entire deck for a card we don't run, which has been Full Moon. Moon Destroying Kamehameha, but the main point of this is that you get to take 2 life per Roshi you play for 2 energy, which like just 1 card lets you go down from 8 to 6, then 6 to 4, very nice. And then Frieza Malicious Strike. Now, I watched Philip's deck profile and have no idea how he got away with running 1. I have drawn into one of these so many times when it's been very important just to play another one in Self-Awaken. I think a big part of the reason why I lost to Benny in our final game, I kind of bricked a little bit and I wasn't able to Self-Awaken, mainly due to the fact that one of these has stuck my life and actually drew into the other one, so I couldn't really use a Frieza's Call to help accelerate my life taking down. Being able to Self-Awaken so I can, start getting to the stronger side of my leader. But what this Frieza does, it costs 2, where Frieza's Call lets you play this card in rest mode for the 1 energy. Then when this card is sent from your battle area to the drop area, you can take up to 1 of your life. So the whole point of it, you play it, you pop with your leader, you take a life. When I side against some decks that are a bit more aggressive, I will usually side out 1 of each of these, which I did actually against believe Red Sin. Yeah, I usually do it against Red Sin when I take out 1 of each, because a lot of decks will usually hit you once or twice, but I don't think, I saw a couple of other deck profiles talking about cutting this card. I think you need at least the 1. Like, being able to, let's just say now you're on 5 life with your leader, yeah? Being able to Frieza's Call for 1, play the Frieza army if you don't have 1 in play, pop it, untap 1, and take that life, go into 4, and then Awakening, versus if you play the Roshi, go 4 to 5, and if you don't have a Frieza's army card in play, you need to spend another energy anyway to meet the condition for, to Awaken, so I think if you're not playing a minimum of 1 of these, you're hard trolling, but I think 2 is the correct amount. Worst case, it's a 5k combo. Best case, you're using it for what you need it for, or it just goes into your energy. But Master Roshi is 100% a 4 of. Like, you actually can't get stalled in this deck at high life total, because Master Roshi just literally lets you just take your own life. And I guess the last main reason to play this deck over other yellow leaders is how great this deck is at using Unison. So we have this Higher Dragon, Sun Gohan and Higher Dragon, then SS2 Sun Gohan. Yeah, Higher Dragon literally, its +1 is so perfect for this deck. You +1 and you get to play a 1-drop yellow battle card from your drop area and rest mode with its skills negated. So this is essentially another copy of a Frieza Army 1-drop card that you can pop with your leader. And every time this card doesn't get cleared, you essentially get to untap an energy for free every turn, because it's constantly just making more markers. And then it's also got a decent +0, which is simply just the fact that this costs 1 and its +0 is drawing a card. And also on the turns where you +1 to play play the card from the drop area, as long as you have a skillless card in play, this is technically a 15k body, so on your turn you can attack for 15k and then pop the Frieza army card if it's safe to do so. So yeah, the synergy this card alone has in the deck is just superb. And then speaking of another Gohan Unison, SS2 Son Gohan's He Fighter, one of the best Unisons in the game. Empower 3, blocker, if you play it with more than 4 markers, you get to KO one of your opponent's cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier for every Unison in the drop. So as the later game go on average, at minimum, you'll always be doing 1, because usually you do Higher Dragon, play a card, then sacrifice Higher Dragon to play the Gohan, and then you get the carry over the 2 markers from the Higher Dragon, and then, yeah, play the Gohan, kill some stuff. But in certain situations, you get to just complete board wipes on this card. It's insane. It's got a +1 that lets you draw a card, and then its -3 allows you to go 25k triple attack into your opponent's lead, as well as just powering up, beating your leader until their turn. A very common play you usually resolve 2 of these -3s in a turn. Like what you play, use the Gohan, swing 3 times, play another Gohan, use your leader ability, tap an energy, untap 2 energy, sorry, so essentially costed you 1, then swing 3 more times and making your leader a 25k base. Very powerful. You can go down to 3 on this card if you'd like. I just like to run the 4 for consistency reasons, and plus, one of my matchups, I'm sorry, I was not happy after my loss with Benny, and I kind of destroyed him and went full power. This card, being able to swing 4 Unisons aren't, even though they're printing a lot of Unison hate, there still isn't a lot of things a lot of colors can do about Unisons. Like for blue, for example, they use the 17 negate that I can still attack 3 times with my Unison. Riposte doesn't affect this card. Hachiak doesn't affect Unison, so there's a bunch of things that this Unison's plus for. And like one thing you'll notice about this leader specifically versus every other deck, these expensive plays, like tapping out 3 for this card in let's say Trunks Vegeta is just a kind of a waste. But in Golden Frieza, this is a 1 energy play because you get the restand too, so you get the complete benefits of tapping out for these insane cards, but also having the double up defense of just being, golden, like of just being yellow. Lastly, for some battle cards. We'll go over the floodgates of the deck. So we run 3 of the new Vegito card, and then 4 on Robotic Riposte. You can't ever go down on Robotic Riposte. It's a Frieza army card. You get to get its cost for 1 very easily in this deck because you get to play the Frieza's Call turn 1 if you have it in your opening hand. Making it so this is already a 2 cost, and then you just charge another extra card or play 1. So there is so many times where this card is actually live on turn 1 with 1 energy, which is very nice. And then Vegito, like, come on, Bandai. The fact that this card is another copy of Robotic Riposte is insane as long as you have 2 Z energy. It also hits Unisons, and it also doubles as a blocker, so Yellow just has so much defense right now. And the fact that this also works with our, the fact that this also is just easy to leave up, like it's a counterplay, so we can't get Broly crowned versus where Riposte can sometimes. Yeah, very annoying card. And the only requirement is to have 2 yellow Z energy, where a big thing you do on this deck after you use your Master Roshis, you'll just simply combo them off. But yeah, you can definitely go up to 4 Vegetos if you'd like. I personally felt like 3 was the right number. I could see myself starting in a 4th one if needed, but I don't. Alright, so a big thing is that you don't need a 4th Vegito if you have the yellow Sin promo. I personally went into this tournament without using the brand new yellow Sin promo, so I had to, just change ratios and find alternatives to that card, which unfortunately I only found some after the tournament, which I can talk into a little bit. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have that card, but once you do, it adds another whole dimension to this deck. And yeah, but that alongside Vegito, you have so much. There is so much you can do on your opponent's turn in this deck. Your opponent plays a card, and you have like 3 or 4 different counterplays you can use, which is kind of silly. All right, next card we have on the deck, the new the overwhelm choice, Secret Enemy Marseille. You only need 2 overwhelms in this deck. Keeping your drop area is fairly important because you want to have Unisons in your drop area for Gohan to be more impactful, and on top of that as well, you also use Higher Dragon to bring cards back from your drop area, and it also meets the extra card requirement, so you don't want to be overwhelming all willy-nilly, but they unban this card, it's instantly the best overwhelm in the game. I don't know what else to say. Once people get their hands on the new SS4 Vegeta promo, which is essentially a power creeped version of Dark Broly, you can definitely see maybe sliding 1-1, but this deck already just has quite a lot of good removal, and then this card just lets you deal with wide boards. If you're clearing 2 cards with this, it's already paying for itself. Next, just some more yellow genericness. More cards. Sorry, we've got 4 Krillin super combos. We're not playing the Gohan Piccolo super combo SCR. This deck doesn't need it. We have so many defensive floodgates. Don't feel forced to. The SCR we're running, spoilers, is Golden Cooler. Don't be forced to think that you need Golden Cooler in every yellow deck now. It just so happens that Golden Cooler works amazingly well in Frieza, whereas Trunks Cheetah, you definitely still need to use Gohan Piccolo. So yeah, that is why we've got the 4 Krillin super combos. There's a reason why this would be Gohan Piccolo, but it's not it. 2 Cooler and 2 Steadfast Steadfast Assistant Son Goku. So, as I said before, I don't actually own a single copy of the Sin promo. If I had the Sin promo, 3 copies, I can imagine myself changing 1 Cooler and 2 Steadfast, or maybe just 3 of these cards would be cut. I think this is the flex spot. Maybe I can look into something else, but these 2 cards in particular throughout the entire deck felt fairly lackluster. The Goku actually felt quite nice, honestly. Just being able to pay the 1, tap something, draw a card as a blocker, very nice. But once we have the Sin promo, we're paying 1 more and doing the exact same thing. So that's one reason to get this card. Well, not the exact same thing, but a very similar thing. So this card can definitely be cut. And then Cooler. I think a lot of the players that are saying, "Oh, you don't need Cooler. You're not really a deck that tries to like, we are a deck that definitely doesn't need Cooler. We are just trying to outvalue our opponent as much as we possibly can." But I still think Cooler is an amazing card. There's some matchups where the turbo defensive decks, like for example, a big thing is that M is a Hatchak player that I think everyone knows in OC, plays a lot of Hatchak. It is his go-to deck. It's what he played at Nationals and also what he got second at Zenkai Cup. Decks like that, like you actually need a Cooler to push through the to Oceanus. Like these turbo slow decks, like even Mill, for example, like I believe Tim Hain, who's one of our locals players who also got top 16, he plays Nimble. I'm probably not winning that game without Cooler. Like I think Cooler just lets you close out games against those super duper stally decks where you can sometimes struggle with even with Golden Cooler. But it just lets you like 100% win those matchups for sure. So I think I can see myself going down to one in the main and just siding the other one, but it's best of one pre-side, so it's kind of the same thing. You're just picking your best 54 cards in my case for that matchup. But yeah. Once you have Yellow Sin promo, feel free to change these cards, is what I'm saying. Next, we'll go into our extra card package. We have one Power of the Super Saiyan, one Cold Bloodlust. Yellow has so many SCRs, so you might as well just run them all. Cold Bloodlust is amazing. Golden Cooler doesn't have Deflect. Evil Saiyan doesn't have Deflect. Beast Gohan doesn't have Deflect. We're able to answer a lot of very meta-relevant SCRs without SCR, Cold Bloodlust. And Power of the Super Saiyan, it's very nice being able to, at certain points, if I've overwhelmed, to get an extra card into my drop area for free, and it also cycles a card. Also doubles up as a negate, and it's just a very powerful defensive card. 2 Realm of the God, Black Kamehameha, 2 Release from Evil, and 2 Time Magic. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with the split. I do miss running 1 Final Flash. I can see myself maybe going down to 1 Release from Evil and putting 1 Final Flash in, because I feel like that card is very nice. But Release from Evil is such a broken card. There's so many situations where it's like, Release from Evil does something cheesy, and it lets you win games, like that. So let's just say now your opponent swings with leader. Like a perfect example is into the SS4 Gogeta or like the SS4 red deck, right? If they swing with the leader and you release from Evil on the front side, they can combo a card, but they're not drawing. They can't combo cards in rest mode, so that's another thing as well. And just the big thing that hits every leader in the game, they can't awaken, right? The fact that this card turns off awakening is silly. Time Magic is also an extremely underrated card. I swear, there's so many cards that just say dual attack or restand at the end of turn or stuff like that, and being able to free or for one to simply just say no, we don't do that here. It's just so good, and also just a hard negate, which is great. Realm of the Gods, Black Kamehameha. I'd say I charge this card more than I use it, so I could see myself using it instead of Final Flash, but when it comes up, it feels so good. Versus where Final Flash, too many people play around Final Flash, whereas this card, people play around it as well, but it just feels nice that at worst, it's like essentially another super combo that costs 1, and at best, it just completely destroys your opponent's turn and gives you an extra layer of removal. I can definitely see myself trying to fit a copy of Final Flash in, but I'm not entirely sure what I'd change it for. Potentially Release from Evil, but Release from Evil feels so good. And finally, for the last 3 cards in our main board, I dubbed this deck the Golden Bang Bros. That's what I call this deck. We've got Golden Frieza Divine Transformation, or just Frieza Divine Transformation. Then Golden Cooler Radiant Pride. So both these cards have one thing in common. They cost 5, and they kind of just let you snowball the game immensely. What the Frieza does, we'll go over this one first because it's a bit of an older card. Some people might not know what it does. So it's got Deflect, Double Strike, and Blocker. And just 3 keyword skills that are fairly nice. Permanent, it can't be removed by skills. That is insane. If your opponent plays Beast Gohan, they use Vegeta SCR, they use whatever, that's not getting cleared. That's really good on its own. Like, this card's very sticky once it hits the board. On the turn you play it, you get to KO 2 of your opponent's cards in rest mode, and then at the end of the turn, this card restands. So on the turn you play it, you kill 2 cards, you swing, you restand, it's a blocker. Crazy. That's not even the best part of this card. Auto. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter-attack skill, you choose any 2 of the cards, switch them to rest mode, and they cannot be restood during their charge phase, I believe. Or is it until the end of the next turn? They cannot be until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if you're versing any color in the game, like, okay, red can clear this the easiest, right, where they just reduce power to 0 and KO it, but you're versing green. Okay, I play this, you want to negate me? I stun you. I pretty much hatch you to an extent, right? I lock you out of a whole turn. I can, oh man, this card is so powerful. Like, I didn't realize how powerful this card was until I started playing it in this deck. Like, shout out to my cousin Nick Paspy, by the way, who I versed in the tournament, who also got top 10. But shout out to him. He was like, told me how broken this card was. I didn't process it until I started just jamming this card, and it's like, damn, for 5, this card does so much. Like, the fact that the auto is not limit 1, so if you have 2 of these out, it kind of just screws your opponent. Like, being able to lock 4 cards is absurd. And yeah, and it's also like a 5k. Like, it's a 5 energy 5k card that does so much. If you're able to stick this on board, you should be winning the game. Like, this deck is kind of just stall until you can get one of these guys out and just use it to snowball the game. Lastly, Golden Cooler. Again, shout out to Nick Paspy. This is technically his, but we share a collection, so I'm using it at this tournament. But Golden Cooler, my god, Bandai. This is one of the first cards they have released in a long time that is worth tapping out for 5 energy. What does this behemoth of a card do? It's got double strike and blocker. When you play this card, all of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and barrier, KO'd, sent to warp. Great. Then your opponent chooses 5 cards in their hand and puts the rest in their Z energy. This card sets your opponent's hand to 5. There's so many games where I just play Golden Cooler and I put my hand down and I just use him to kill the game. Like, that's it. This card just solos games. And also, active main / battle, you pop 2 of your opponent's Z energy, put them back to active mode. Attack, active mode, attack, active mode, attack, active mode. I've had games where I've hit 13 card hands, over 10 card hands. It's like, Jesus, this card is absurd. It clears the entire board. You tapping out for 5, you kill them. Like, this card is, funnily enough, arguably this is the best. Like, his brother Golden Frieza is the best deck to use in him, because let's just say now you don't kill them on 5, they're crippled. They're like literally on life support, you know, so they can't really do much to get themselves back in the game. But Golden Cooler has just rimmed them. He's just whacked him over the head, and it's like, hey, good game, bro. It's been real. So yeah, I think this card is like an insane SCR for this deck, and it's funny that it works the best in Golden Frieza. But yeah, I think you could play Gohan Piccolo in this deck, but you will not have as much success as if you were playing Cooler, because at this online regional, I played Golden Cooler every single game, even the game I lost against Benny. And every single game I played him, he just either won the game, or in the case against Benny, it brought me back to a point where I could potentially win the game. But unfortunately, like I said before, against Benny, I was already so far behind. Like, when I played Golden Cooler against Benny to get me back in the game, Benny was on 7 life. And there was no way I was killing him. And if I did, my board state wasn't the best. I would have died on the clapback if I tried to overcommit. But yeah, that's the main board. We'll quickly go through the Z deck real quick. We have 1 Oolong, 2 Son Goku, 2 Vegeta, and 2 Surmounting, which is, I guess, also Vegeta. Oolong's Oolong. 1 energy, 2's the energy. You can play it, can copy a big threat on either player's board and go for game. It's kind of awkward in this deck, because other than our SCR, our biggest stat line is 25k, so it's actually not that impactful. But if your opponent has a big card on board, it feels nice. But you just need the Oolong. Like, it comes up where this, like, 1 energy, 25k, or just 20k can win the game. Surmounting, I'm going to go down to 1 Surmounting. I'm going to change this for one of the Gamma Z cards. There's a very niche situation that would have come up against, I know I'm referring to this game a lot, against Benny, where I believe I put a Dispo into my Z energy from my Z deck. If this was the Gamma, I could have played it for 1, played the Gamma, used the Gamma ability to remove it from the game, and then if my opponent activated counter skill, I could get the draw card, then use the Dispo from my drop area to play out Frieza Army card to use it to just draw a card. It's a very niche scenario, but I think it's good. It's also good because I want to try and fit SS3, the new SS3 Son Goku, into this deck, and I feel like with Gamma, it's a very much easier time to fit it in than what I currently have. But I also think 2 Surmounting is too much. I don't think it would have come up today, but technically again against Benny, it would have come up, but I don't think it warrants a spot as a 2 of. But yeah, it can be a 1 of for sure. But these 2 felt perfect. 2 Vegeta, 2 Goku. Vegeta pops something, ignoring barrier, and if it's in rest mode, it becomes a dual attacker with crit. But it just gains critical, so you need this for removal. Very good. On-demand removal is insane. When I could play this, I would. Then for the Goku, when you're in a winning position in games, being able just to stun your opponent's leader, and then the safety this card provides by being able to rest mode another battle card coming in on the following turn, and negating its skills is very impactful as well. So I think the split I had of the Gokus and Vegetas felt fine at 2 and 2, but I would look into adding Gamma into my Z deck. And yeah, that's it for the main deck, guys. We'll quickly skim through my side deck real quick. First things up, we have 2 Black Smoke Dragon. You should always consider running this card in your Z deck because it answers so many different archetypes, so many different strategies. Big thing being, the 2 biggest things are the fact that it is 2 energy barrier removal, very cost efficient, and it's also 2 energy remove a Unison from the board. So I think yeah, those 2 reasons alone, it's insane. And at worst comes to worst, it's a draw 2 cards, very good. 1 Jiren, the Survival of the Fittest. You need this for turning the tide. Again, against my cousin Nick Paspy, because I knew even though he's playing Warriors of U7, I knew he had turning the tide in his sideboard. I actually sided this in against him, but it didn't come up. But you need this for turning the tide as well, and also the Goku Z card that sets your hand back down to 10, because you get a big hand in this deck when you're going off. 2 Vegeta Unison of Fury. If you've ever seen Black or Gogeta, this card's insane. This card lets me solo I don't know what I'm trying to say. It lets you kind of destroy Kumba. Kumba can't really answer this card very optimally. So, yeah, this is a very card for the Kumba matchup. Tyrannical Blow for Floodgates. I think this is the only card I don't think I sided in the entire day, but I think it felt... Oh, that and my next 3 cards, because I didn't come up against blue, but in all my testing of playing this deck, this is the one card I haven't sided, but I think it's a Actually, that's a complete lie. You sided this against Rampiris. I'm so sorry. I have definitely sided this in against Rampiris, so yeah, this card's very good. 1 Cunning and then 2 Whis and 2 Whis. Whis is essentially if your opponent restands a card on their turn with a non-awakened skill, you get to pop 1 of their energy. It hasn't come up yet, but it is a threatening card regardless. At worst, it's a 1 energy draw card, which is fine, and that they have to answer this card, so like it's just good to have. And Cunning is good too. Like I usually side these 3 cards if I'm ever against the blue. Like both of these hurt the Kaioken SCR, especially Cunning. If you're able to get 1 Cunning off, it just hampers so many of the plays that your opponent wants to do. But yeah, Whis is also really good against Soul Strike, which is becoming fairly popular lately. 2 Gohan and Videl power couple just to answer the hate. Honestly, this card was pretty bad at answering the hate, to be fair, because I have a Secret Identity Marseille, which does answer the hate cards as well. But this card was actually kind of broken versus Kumba, so I still would keep this because it's a multi-purpose card. But it is definitely a card that, funnily enough, weirdly underperformed, if that makes sense. Like, it lets me answer the hate cards, but it's also not it's not as good as Secret ID as answering the hate cards. 2 Hasty Dispatch Dispo. I have no idea why Philippe wasn't running this card. Like, if Red Sin is by far the best deck right now, I don't care what anyone says, that deck is definitely the strongest archetype. And the fact that Gohan is a card that they pay for 1 energy and just kills your Frieza army card, you need a way in certain situations to be able to tap out to extend your plays and then use tap out for a Unison, then play this card to enable you to have that untap ready. And like red and green as well, this came in against, I played a Unison Cooler Studies, came up against that deck as well. Just being able to for free play a 1-drop from your drop area is very, very important. So this 100% has to be in your main or sideboard if you're playing this deck. It has too much synergy with it, especially against those red and green matchups. This card is huge. And lastly, Death Blaster, essentially a second copy of Cold Bloodlust in this deck. I started in against Kumba and Hachiak just because, you know, they are either playing Golden Cooler or Kumba SCR, just to answer that. And it didn't come up, but I think this is another necessary evil. But yeah. Alrighty, guys, that is the deck profile. Sorry if my voice is sounding a bit chirpy now. I don't know what's happening with me. I guess I might be feeling a bit under the weather. But yeah, honestly, I had a ton of fun playing Golden Cooler, and I also had a Golden Cooler. Yeah, I did have a ton of fun playing that SCR. But I had a ton of fun playing Golden Frieza. I think this is a very good yellow deck right now, and I think a big thing that's preventing a lot more players getting it is simply the fact, 1, Golden Cooler SCR might not be the easiest SCR to get right now. It's a brand new SCR, so some people aren't willing to buy it, but if you're a competitive DBS player that likes yellow, you should get the leader. Get the SCR. And the second thing, honestly, I think the one most awkward card that is hard for people to find is actually the Higher Dragon Unison. Just because it was from a draft set that wasn't that popular, and it was also released, I think, sometime during COVID. So I think that's the 2 reasons why people don't play this deck as much as they should be. And also another big thing too, this deck power level is insanely different once you get access to the new Sin promo. So I think those are the 3 reasons why this deck isn't as played as much as it should be. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, congrats to Benny for coming first. Congrats for me to coming second. Shout out to Tak for doing an amazing job. And at the event, shout out to Lookout for being awesome hosts. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. This is John signing out from the Collectors Company. Peace.